Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Saturday, May 25th. Before we end up getting into today's card, we'll recap what happened yesterday. We had no plays of the day. In terms of the leans, they turned out pretty good. The play that I was thinking about giving out for play of the day actually went exactly the way that I thought it would, and I said that the Marlins had a lot of value on them. But the issue with betting the Marlins is the fact that you have to actually bet on the Marlins. They led multiple times in that game, then proceeded to give up a ton of runs late in that game, and they ended up losing 12-10 due to a Juan Soto 3-run home run in I believe it was the seventh inning, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the eighth. Either or, the Marlins ended up blowing that game, but everything else worked out. And if you followed some of these suggestions, we got you a very nice couple of plus underdogs with the Astros and the Braves and the Padres. So if you were following those, hopefully you ended up cashing something. But with that being said, we will quickly dive into the card, and we'll quickly talk about some games. Now, the main game everyone wants to talk about is the Bucks and Raptors game, and we will get to that in a second. But there are some baseball games that are literally about to start in about a minute, so I will quickly dive into those games as soon as possible. And we will start out with the Yankee game here. You got Hap versus Junis. Hap not having a great year, Junis not having a great year either. We previewed this game yesterday, except there was supposed to be Chad Green as an opener. But then that game ended up getting rained out, so there is a doubleheader today between the two teams. Hap's terrible. Junis is bad also. Yankees are currently available at minus 130 on Pinnacle. I think there's too much value there because the fact that the Yankees are just significantly better than the Royals. So I will lean to the Yankees there, as well as the over 9.5. Moving on, Cubs and Reds. You have Darvish versus Molly. Darvish has actually pitched pretty well lately after struggling with his command earlier in the season. And Molly has had a couple of solid starts in his last few. In terms of this game, total's been bet up from 10 to 11 due to the wind in Wrigley. And there's actually been money on the Reds after the Reds had a very nice come from behind win yesterday against the Cubs. And the Cubs have been dropping from minus 160 to minus 145, give or take. Still linked to the Cubs here. Cubs are at Wrigley. Cubs are the better team, better lineup, better pitching. And I think that the Cubs will look to get some revenge after yesterday, after losing a game that they probably should have won. So I will personally lean to the Cubs on that one. Moving on, you have the Padres and the Blue Jays with Edwin Jackson versus Chad Quantrells. I lean to Quantrells here, mostly just because of the fact that Toronto is 9-17 at home this season, and the Padres have won 4 straight. The Padres are coming into this one playing good baseball, and I would not be surprised to see that continue. So I think at minus 113, you get a lot of value there. Is Quantrill good? No. Is Edwin Jackson good? No. But Toronto's bullpen's not much better. Is not that great, I should say. And their lineup, I know they just called up Kevin Biggio to join Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but that lineup is nothing to write home about. And shout out to Eric Hosmer there in the Padres, as he has had somewhat of a renaissance year, and he's been able to be a steady contributor to that lineup. So for me, I will lean to the Padres there. Moving on, Nationals and the Marlins, no real value here anywhere. You have Corbin at home versus Alcantara, and Corbin right now is a minus 230 favorite. Do I think he should be that big of a favorite? Yes. But do I really see much value on anything? No. I lean to the over 9 because both these teams' bullpens are terrible. So if Corbin only goes 6 innings, you could be looking at 3 innings of terrible bullpens. So I would lean to the over 9 there. Moving on, Diamondbacks and Giants. You have Clark versus Suarez. And as of right now, the Giants are slight favorites at roughly minus 116. Do I really care about who's favored in this game? No, I don't really understand it. Giants just got demolished by the Diamondbacks yesterday. Suarez is an okay pitcher. He's 0-1 this season. Clark is a relative unknown. But at the same point, the Diamondbacks finally ended a losing streak. They scored a ton of runs yesterday, and I think the Giants are just simply a bottom 3 team in all of baseball. So if you get the Diamondbacks at plus money, I would recommend taking that there for value. Moving on, you have Fires versus Kikuchi, and we were right about Oakland there getting the win yesterday. We also thought the over would happen, but that did not. But Oakland ended up winning at home. In terms of that game, money's poured in on Seattle. Oakland up at a minus 135, down to roughly minus 115, and the over has risen from 8.5 to 9. In terms of this game, I lean to the Mariners at plus money here. Kikuchi's actually had a very solid rookie season, and Fires has been below average besides the one no-hitter outing that he had against the Reds. So I think there is value on the Mariners there, and I will lean to the Mariners in that one. Moving on, you have the Mets and the Tigers. I thought about giving this out as play of the day, but I did not. Total open up at 9.5, down to 9. Personally, I love the over here. You have Carpenter versus Vargas, and both lineups just scored over 8 runs yesterday. And the Mets, they've had bullpen issues, but they've also had some late inning offensive explosions late in games, and Carpenter has been terrible this season. So for me, Vargas and Carpenter don't have dynamic stuff by any means. Wind is going to be blowing out heavily to left field, so I would not be surprised to see Alonso and some other people go deep. So for me, I will lean to the over 9 there. Moving on, you have the Brewers and the Phillies with Chacin versus Arrieta on the mound, and I would personally lean to Arrieta on the money line, or roughly plus 120 there. Chacin's been solid the last month or so, but the Phillies won yesterday, and Arrieta plus money is definitely a very valuable bet, so I will lean to the Phillies there. Moving on, you have the Rays and the Indians with Morton versus Carrasco. Money's poured out on Carrasco, up from minus 115 to minus 131. Total's been bet up from 8 to 8.5, mostly due to weather. I still lean to the under. Morton and Carrasco, both very solid pitchers, and both the lineups. So we did recommend the under in yesterday's game between the Indians and Rays as Snell was against Bieber, and that ended up totaling 4 runs. So you ended up cashing that under 7.5 with ease. But we don't think that both offenses are in solid form at this point in time, and both starting pitchers are pretty solid, so we will lean to the under 8.5 there. Moving on, you have the Astros and the Red Sox. The Astros did win the first game of the series against Chris Sale, with Miley pitching well again. In terms of this game, I lean to the Astros minus 122, give or take. Peacock's pretty good. Price is pretty good. Not had a great year, but overall he has got great stuff. But in total, Astros are a better team. I think that they are going to make it to the World Series out of the American League, and I will lean to the Astros at home, again, at a small money line price there, so I will lean there. Moving on, Braves and Cardinals. We read about the Braves yesterday. I will lean to the Braves again. Dakota Hudson's nothing to write home about. Soroka's actually been pretty good this season, and the Braves, the lineup continues to hit with Riley in the lineup, and I will continue to ride them. So I will take the Braves on the money line here, roughly minus 110. Moving on, you have the Dodgers versus the Pirates with Ryu against Musgrove. I lean to the under 8 here. Ryu has been great so far this season. Musgrove has been pretty good. Overall, his stats aren't amazing, but because he had a big inning that he gave up in his last start, but overall he was pretty solid, and I definitely like Musgrove as a pitcher, so I'll personally lean to the under 8 there. Moving on, game 2, you have the Yankees versus the Royals with Lopez against the Yankees. Don't know who they're going to be starting for the second game here. I'd wait to see how the first game goes, but I'll definitely be leaning to the Yankees there. But moving on with the Orioles and the Rockies, we actually got everything right about that game as well. We recommended the Rockies on the money line. It was minus 160, but our favorite play was the over 12. That ended up cashing as they scored 14 runs, and you had a walk-off 2-run homer by Trevor Story in the 9th. And we also recommended, for fun, the Arenado home run prop, and Arenado ended up hitting 2 home runs in that game for a little bit of overkill. I think Arenado will go deep again. Cashner did not look great in his last start. I lean to the over 11.5. And I'll also lean to the Rockies on the money line here, and even the Rockies minus 1.5. Freeland, even though he's not had a great year, definitely a solid pitcher, and I think that he will do pretty well in this one. So for me, I will lean to the Rockies and the over there. And moving on, you have the Angels and the Rangers with Minor versus Skaggs. We were right about the Rangers winning the game yesterday as they came into the series on a roll. And we thought that the Angels were too big of a moneyline favorite in that one. And the Rangers were able to come out with a nice victory there. So overall, it was a pretty solid day. I'm still going to lean to the Rangers again, as the Angels so far, according to the money lines, are roughly a minus 125 with Skaggs on the mound. Minor's actually been very good for the Rangers this year. Very strikeout capable lefty there. But the Rangers lineup's been better than the Angels lineup recently, and the Angels have struggled lately. So I will personally be leaning to the Rangers on the money line on that one. But moving on, we will be talking about the Jamal, I'm actually just reading your comment now. In terms of the Dodgers and the Red Sox full game, I'll definitely keep those picks in mind, and we will be looking at it later. But a quick announcement before I get into the main game with the Bucks and the Raptors. We will be having another video later today, exclusively on tennis. In terms of the play of the day and everything like that, we might actually have 2 tennis videos, as we will be doing a full-on bracket recap or bracket breakdown for the French Open coming out in roughly a couple hours. And then I will upload my best bets for Sunday for the Roland Garros card So stay tuned for those tennis videos coming out in a couple of hours. But we'll quickly dive in to the basketball game as we approach the 10-minute mark here. So to quickly dive in, the Raptors are in the middle of a comeback against the Bucks. Lost the first 2 games of the series. Now it is currently at 3-2 Toronto. They've won 3 straight. In this game, Toronto's favored by 1. It's been a bet up to 1.5. However, it was at 2.5 a couple of days ago, and it ended up getting bet down to roughly 1 there. So just keep that in mind. Money has come in back on the Bucks. Total's been bet down from 214 to 212 actually at Heritage. But in terms of this game, I'm leaning to Toronto, of course. Toronto's had a history of choking, but they were able to win Game 7 against the 76ers to kind of exercise some demons and actually winning a very close winner-take-all game there. And Kawhi Leonard's unstoppable. Last game, I believe he had 37, 9, and 7. So he looks completely fine. The leg looks good. And overall, Giannis has definitely shrunk in the series, where Kawhi has shown that he is an elite player in the NBA. So for me, I lean to Toronto here to close out the series. It looks like Budenholzer simply has had no adjustments, and whatever adjustments he's made has not worked. He tried to put Brogdon into the starting lineup in the last game, which worked temporarily, but Milwaukee's bench ended up playing terribly, and I think that was something that Budenholzer should have accounted better for. I still don't know why Bledsoe's in the starting lineup. I know that he was first team all defense, and not sure how he was first team all defense. But at the same point, Bledsoe actually played well in the last game, but he took some really terrible shots late in the game due to his terrible shot selection. Yep, Game 7 and Stanley Cup Game 1 would have been a great night. You're not wrong about that, Sam, but instead we get to deal with the Stanley Cup while we're in Vegas over the weekend. So I'm not going to complain about that either. So that should be a lot of fun, getting some NBA, some NHL, some Roland Garros, and some baseball all at the same time. So that'll leave us a lot of fun at the sports books, Sam. So I'm looking forward to that coming up sometime over the weekend. But with that being said, in terms of this game, I lean to Toronto, and I'm actually going to lean to the over here. I understand why money has come in on the under, based on how the pace of play has definitely benefited Toronto over the last 3 games, and how Toronto likes to slow the pace. However, since it is an elimination game, I can definitely see Milwaukee, if they are trailing, getting extra aggressive with the fouls late. So I think you could definitely see a potential backdoor here in terms of free throws late in games because of the fact that it's an elimination game for the Bucks. But in general, for me, I think the main type of adjustment that Budenholzer should make that he has not made is the fact that I think Giannis should be playing center. And I think that Milwaukee, in order to win this game, needs to definitely push the pace. I know that Milwaukee likes to stretch the floor with these stretch 4, stretch 5s with Lopez and Mirotic and people like that. Truth be told, I think Milwaukee should go small. And I know that they might get torched on the boards, but right now their half-court offense is absolutely abysmal. And Toronto has taken Milwaukee out of any type of rhythm that they've had. So in terms of that, I think that Milwaukee should look to, if you want to keep Bledsoe at the point, you can. But overall, put Bledsoe at the point guard, Middleton. You put Bledsoe at the point guard, Connaughton at the shooting guard, put Middleton at the small forward, and then for center and power forward, you can kind of argue where you want to go there. But overall, I think Giannis should be playing center. I think that his athleticism will give Gasol some problems, and I think that it'll also lead to some fast break opportunities. So personally, if I was Mike Budenholzer, that's the adjustment I would make. Every other adjustment he has made has not worked, and I think that Giannis at center makes a lot of sense. I'm the other one who gets confused when Giannis starts a possession roughly 3 feet behind the three-point line instead of simply just parking his butt in the paint where he can get a wide-open dunk because he's roughly 6 feet tall, or he's roughly 7 feet tall. I don't really understand it, but hopefully Budenholzer makes some adjustments because I would definitely like to see a Game 7 in that series. But with that being said, I will lean to Toronto, and I will lean to the over in that one. But that's going to do it for these leans today on Scott Selections here for Saturday, May 25th. And before we end up fully concluding the video, we will be reminding you briefly of our sponsor with PointsBet, online sportsbook in New Jersey. And they still have a lot of great deals available, up to 2 risk-free bets of up to $1,000. So if you end up wanting to bet on something and you are afraid if it's going to win or not, you get your money back. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, some NBA playoff deals. If the team you bet on is up after 3 quarters, you get a nice money line winner, and you don't have to worry about the fourth quarter. And in terms of hockey, we'll get back to that once the Stanley Cup resumes. But that's going to do it for this installment of Scott's Selections here for Saturday, May 25th. And stay tuned for the tennis plays later. Good luck to all of you and your respective plays.